Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about Usnea, another name for its old man's beard, and it grows very prolifically on trees here on PEI and also throughout Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and other areas in northern Canada. And the neat thing about Usnea is it's a parasitic plant that grows on the trees, and it does eventually, unfortunately, kill the trees that it's living on, like all parasites do. But in the process, it takes up a lot of nutrients from the trees and puts it into its own body. And it's an amazing herb for fighting bacterial infections. It works really well against gram-positive bacteria, and it works almost like it works as well as antibiotics. I had a goat that had an infection, and I gave it Usnea tincture as well as vitamin C and elderberry. And I was told by some very knowledgeable people that my goat was going to die because I didn't give it antibiotics. But it didn't die. It lived quite happily and survived. So that was a huge thing for me to see how well it worked. It worked as well as an antibiotic in that situation. The one thing that you need to keep in mind with Usnea is because it is such a strong herb, you can't use it for months at a time. It's too strong for that. It's an emergency type herb, so you're using it for a short period of time and then you take a break from using it. Some people have used it for weight loss in the past, and it can be too hard on the kidneys when you're using it for long periods of time. So, something to know if somebody has kidney issues to begin with or is trying to use it long term. Don't use it long term. It's an amazing herb in how it grows. It looks so neat on the trees. Yesterday we went and harvested this, and we had fun getting it because the snow was deeper than we anticipated, so we ended up nearly buried above our knees in snow. But we got the Usnea, we dried it overnight, and here we are getting ready to tincture it. So Usnea is one of the plants that you have to do a little bit more work when you're tincturing it because it needs to be heat tinctured. So we're going to be putting it in this jar with some alcohol and a little bit of distilled water, just to make sure that we have enough water, because it will extract by alcohol, but it also helps to have a little bit of water since it's quite dry. And then we're going to put it on the lowest, coolest part of the wood stove and let it just slowly tincture there for a few hours, and then we're going to take it off and just keep it in a warm area to continue tincturing for about 4 to 6 weeks. And I may do this as a double extraction, which means that after I've done the initial tincturing, I will drain off the alcohol, which is now a tincture, and add fresh herb to it, just so it's extra strong, which will mean you'll have to use less. So we're picking through this, making sure we get the nicest and get all the bits of tree bark and other lichens and things like that out of this. And this is a great, if you live in an area where this grows, it's a really good idea to grab yourself a bottle of vodka or whatever you like to tincture with, and make yourself some tincture, because this, in a situation where you do not have access to antibiotics, this could be very life-saving. Thank you, and I will continue picking through my Usnea for the next while.